Welcome to the castle, everybody. This is Nightsaber Z42, and today we're going to be making a character sheet for Mothership, the sci-fi horror RPG. Now, in order to make a character, all you really need is the actual character sheet, because, well, that's where everything's at. You're also going to need at least 6d10. I'm going to be using a note card here for some of my stats before I actually write them down, because I'm actually writing with a pen. Aren't I a badass? So let's dive right on in. So we only really need the character sheet for rolling our character because all the steps are actually written throughout the character sheet itself. So there's actually 6 steps. And if you have the player's survival guide for Mothership, it'll actually list all the steps out in basically the first page. So we'll have things like rolling for our stats, picking a class and noting their starting saves. We'll be getting our starting skills, and we'll get to spend some skill points depending on which class we have. We'll get to take a note as how our class deals with stress and panic. We'll pick a starting loadout and roll a random trinket and a patch, which is actually probably the only thing that you're really going to need this book for. And then we'll have the finishing touches, like our starting stress, resolve, and health. So let's get right to the first step. That's going to be rolling our stats. In Mothership, there are 4 different stats. We have strength, speed, intellect, and combat. And so I'm actually going to take my 6d10s right here. I'm going to roll, and I'm actually going to record each one in order, because this game is very OSR-like, that back in the day, when your grandpa's day, back in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, you actually just rolled your stats straight down, and you took what you got, and you made a character based off of that. So I have my 6d10s, and I'm actually going to go ahead and roll them. And let's take a look at what I have. I have a 27 right off the bat. Now, the average for this game is 30. An average person is going to have a stat of 30, basically. So we're a little bit under the curve there. And I'm actually going to make note that's going to be our strength. So there we go. We'll go ahead and roll 3 more times. We have a 37 in speed, so 10 more than our strength, which is awfully nice. Let's roll again. We have a 38 for our intellect. Kind of nice. I like how we're going up, so maybe we'll actually have maybe 60 combat, which is the highest that you could possibly get, but that's really unlikely. We have a 34 in combat. So overall, we have some fairly average stats here. Strength being our lowest, followed by speed, then combat, then intelligence. And so the next step, we are actually going to get to pick a class, and we're going to note their starting saves. So in Mothership, there are 4 different classes. We have Teamsters, who are the rough and tumble crew and workers out in space. If Ripley from Aliens is your hero, you'll want to play a Teamster. We have Scientists, who are doctors, researchers, and anyone who wants to slice open aliens or infected crew members with a scalpel. We have Androids. Androids are a terrifying and exciting addition to any crew. They tend to unnerve other crew with their cold inhumanity. And of course, if you play an android, you can definitely play as one of those hidden androids, like in the movie Alien, where they're just undercover and, yeah. It's a big shock when they actually get revealed to be the android, which is always a cool thing. And then last but not least, we have the Marines. Marines are here to shoot bugs and chew bubblegum. They're handy in a fight and good when grouped together, but whenever a Marine panics, it may cause problems for the rest of the crew. And the same could be said about any of the other classes. When any of the other classes kind of start to panic or do anything like that, it kind of escalates things further for the other people in that scene. So, based on what we have in terms of our starting skills, I'm actually going to make a scientist. Mainly because we have a 38 in our intellect. Now, we could go with any of the other classes. It's fine. We actually get bonuses for whichever stat that actually applicates or is applied to that certain class. So I'm going to pick the scientist, and we have a 40 starting sanity, a 25 fear, 25 body, and 30 armor, which is pretty nice. Now, right here, it does say that our 10, or that our scientist is going to get plus 10 in intellect. So that's why I didn't actually write that down, because depending on which class we chose would actually give our stats an upgrade a little bit. So we'll have a 48 in intellect. After that, we are ready to get some skills. So let's head on over there. So each of the classes actually starts off with starting skills. So for the Teamster, they would have skills in 0G, mechanical, repair, and then they would get to pick one for either heavy machinery or piloting. And then they have 4 points to allocate to any other skills that they might want. And the android has computers, mathematics, linguistics, and they get 2 points. The Marine gets military training and 3 points. As a scientist, we get to pick 2: biology, agriculture, geology, computers, mathematics, or chemistry. I definitely want biology as one, and I think what we're going to do, we'll probably do a little bit of some computer work as well. Actually, I say that, but then it doesn't kind of go together. So let's do biology and chemistry. And then we'll have 3 points to spend. Now, with those 3 points, we can buy other skills, and we can also upgrade the skills that we do have. So there are 3 rankings of skills. We have trained, expert, and master skills. So the trained skills are in the first column on the character sheet right here. So things like linguistics, biology, first aid, hydroponics, geology, 0G, scavenging. These are all the first tier of skills. And this is like your little mini tech tree a little bit. It's a skill tree. So in order to get to expert, you'll need some rankings, or you'll need to have some trained skills. Now, trained skills actually give you a plus 10% on that to use that skill. So if I'm using, let's say, my biology, that would be probably an intellect roll, right? But I would add a plus 10 because I would have that trained. So let's go ahead and mark that we have biology and chemistry. And then we also get 3 more points to spend. Now, in order to get a trained skill, it will cost 1 point. To get an expert skill, it will take 2 points. So I could go into genetics for 2 points, but then I would have to get something in the trained side. So that actually sounds fairly good. I think I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and get genetics. And then for my other skill, let's go with first aid, because we would like to have somebody who's kind of good at, maybe patching things up a little bit for our team members. So we're actually playing as a doctor now. Somebody who's really good at biology and chemistry, and a little bit in some healing a little bit. Because healing kind of is not your Dungeons and Dragons healing. Let's just say that. So now that we have our skills set, we'll go ahead and move on to stress and panic. So what makes this character sheet so intuitive is just the way that it flows. So for example, it does say that number 1, roll 6d10 for each of your stats. So we've already done the first step, the second step, and we've just done the third step. And so if we actually follow this little line here going from the scientist, it actually leads us to the next step, which is step 4, taking note of how our class deals with stress and panic. And all you need to do here is put a check mark next to your class, which is the scientist. So for the scientist, whenever a scientist fails a sanity save, every friendly player nearby gains 1 stress. So bad things tend to happen when you start to panic. The Teamster has a once per session ability. A Teamster may reroll a roll on the panic effect table. Androids have fear saves made in the presence of androids have disadvantage. So if you're playing with an android, it kind of gets pretty bad because remember, androids kind of nerve people in this game. And then the Marines have, whenever a Marine panics, every friendly player nearby must make a fear save. So when the Marine panics, then everybody else starts to panic as well. So it kind of escalates things a little bit. So all you have to do is just basically make a note of what your class is and how they deal with stress and panic. And then you can move on to step number 5, which is picking a loadout and rolling the random trinket and patch. So now that we know what our class is and what their skills are, and we have a little bit of basically what their job on the ship is, we can pick a loadout. And there's 4 different types of loadouts that you can pick. There's the excavation, and sorry, but my character sheet kind of cut some of the text off, so it's a little hard to read. We have a crowbar, a hand welder, a laser cutter, a body cam, bioscanner, infrared goggles, lockpick set. I want to say that's biscuit, but I'm pretty sure that says vac suit. And then we have oxygen tank, mag boots, short range comms. Then you have the exploration pack, which gives you a vibachete, rigging gun, flare gun, first aid kit, vac suit, long range comms, oxygen tank, a survey kit, water filter, locator, a rebreather, binocular, flashlight, camping gear, and MRE is ×7. So that's like your food packs. So then you have extermination, which gives you an SMG, a frag grenade ×6, standard battle dress, which is a heads-up display, body cam, short range comms, stim pack ×6, electronic toolkit. So also good for your marine type characters. And then we have what we're going to take as a scientist, the examination. And the examination loadout gives us a scalpel, a tranq pistol, a stun baton, hazard suit, med scanner, automated ×6, pain pills ×6. Oh, sorry, that says automed ×6, stim pack ×6, cybernetic diagnostic scanner. So this is like what your medics would like to have, your doctors. So as a doctor, I highly recommend that you take this. Now that we have our starting loadout, we get to put on the finishing touches for the very last step. So the last step, we get to put on the finishing touches. So I always like to save the name for last. So we're going to name my dude Dak over here. We are at level... Do we start at level 1 or level 0? Oh boy, I can never remember. I think we start at level 0, and then after the first session, we get our first level. We get a rank and a title, which would be Doctor. Doctor, give me the news. All right. And then we get to make note of our stress, which starts at 2. Our resolve, which starts at 0. And then our max health, which is our strength ×2, which is 54. So we have 54 max HP. And then hopefully our actual HP starts at 54. So there you go. That is all that you have to really do to get a character started. It's very fast, very easy, and the character sheet makes it very intuitive. So I really do like how this character sheet just flows. It flows very well. The only thing is, if you want to add more skills, because the book definitely recommends that you can do that, there really isn't a place to do that. So then again, if you're just playing straight up Mothership, you don't really need the extra skills, but it depends on what kind of a game you're running. So there you go. That is our character Dak, the Doctor. And so in the next video, I'm going to actually go ahead and review Mothership, Player Survival Guide, as well as Dead Planet, which is the official adventure. I believe this was the first adventure for the game. So check in the next video for that. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support this series, and check the description for the character Dak the Doctor. He will be listed in there, so you can pull that and play it in whatever game that you would like. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more. I will see you guys in the next video.